Hey guys, Mrs. Matheson here. We're going to cover Unit 3, Section 2 on congruent triangles. Our learning targets today is I can identify congruent triangles and their corresponding parts and then use these ideas to solve for missing parts. So we're going to talk about congruent triangles. If two geometric figures, triangles, polygons, etc., have exactly the same shape and size, so we're talking shape and size, they are congruent. So let's talk about congruent polygons. Polygons is just that general term for a many-sided figure. So we're specifically going to look at triangles, but we're going to also see some polygons pop up in there. Two triangles are congruent if and only if their corresponding sides and angles are congruent. So we're looking to make sure that their sides are equal and their angles are equal. So if we look here, we have angle A. Angle A has two markings, so we need to find the angle that also has two markings to show that those two are congruent. So it goes with angle H. Then we look at angle B. Angle B has one congruent marking, so we find the other angle that also has one, and that says angle J. And then last, C has three congruent markings, and K has three congruent markings. All right, so you're matching up those markings. Corresponding sides, so now we're going to talk about the actual sides. Remember, sides are segments, so we're going to denote them by two letters with a line above them. So we're going to start with AB, and I'm looking at A to B. I actually kind of use this angle markings to help me. I see I'm going from 2 to 1, so I need to find where I'm going from 2 to 1 angle marking. So I'm going from H to J. And it's important when we talk about corresponding sides that we actually get that order of those letters from side to side the same. So if we look at BC, I'm going from 1 to 3. So I look from J to K. J has 1, K has 3. That's just going to help us figure that out. And then C to A, I go from 3 to 2, and K to H is 3 to 2. All right, so we can make a congruent statement. Congruent statement is going to start with triangle A, B, C, and we're going to match to triangle. And now we get these order of letters by the same orders as A. So what angle matched with A? Well, that was H. And then B goes to J, and then C is going to go to K. So those need to be in the same order. And we would say that this is really important. So jot this down. Valid statements occur only when the corresponding vertices are in the same order. So the valid statement here only works when A matches with H, and B matches with J, and C matches with K. So you always need to make sure you're matching the correct ones together. Okay, so let's put that for an example here in number 1. It says name all the congruent angles, congruent sides, and state the congruent statement. All right, so angle A has one angle marking, and that matches up with angle W. Angle B has 2, and that matches with angle X. Angle C has 3, and that matches with angle, oops, not W, angle Y. And then angle D has 4, and that matches with angle Z. Sides, again, we're going to look at, I use the angle markings to help me. From A to B, I'm going from 1 to 2. So W to X, 1 to 2. B to C is 2 to 3. And X to Y is 2 to 3. Okay, C to D is 3 to 4. Y to Z is 3 to 4. So C to D, Y to Z, and then our last one's D to A, and then Z to W. Now you could have, if you wanted to, you could have written BA, side BA. Then you'd have to say is congruent to side XW. Remember, those letters need to go together. So our congruent statement this time, we're not dealing with a triangle, we're dealing with a polygon. So we'd say poly A, B, C, D goes with poly. We'll match them up. A goes with W, B goes with X, C goes with Y, and D goes with Z. So that's a valid congruence statement. All right, so then let's go to the back side. So now we're going to get to the actual part where we're using the properties of the congruence triangles. It says in the diagram, triangle ABC is congruent to DFE. Find the values of X and Y. Well, A goes with D, so I'm going to jot it A with D. B goes with F, and C goes with E. I like to write the letters next to the corresponding letters because it's not always obvious which ones match together. Okay, so we're going to find X and Y. I see that here has X and a Y, and then this one just has a Y. So let's actually find Y first. So 8Y minus 5, that's F, but it matches with B. So if I actually go to the B, that's going to tell me what it's equal to because these are congruent. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. So we end up with 8y equals 104. Divide both sides by 4 or by 8, we get y equals 13. All right, so now we know what y is. We're going to take that y and we're going to plug it in there. So this is 2 times 13, 26 plus x. So let's find what 26 plus x matches to. Well, it's the side BC and EF. So BC, that's going to match up here. So I'm going to set those two equal. 26x, or 26 plus x, equals 38.4. Minus 26 to both sides, and we're going to get x equals 12.4. So it's not always that you can find x first, or if I'm asking you about angles, you don't always find one first. So sometimes you have to kind of go out of order, and that's okay. All right, number 3, in the diagram, triangle RSV is congruent to triangle TVS. Ooh, R goes with T, S goes with V, S goes with V, and V goes with S. So it's a little backwards here. If it helps to draw out the two triangles separately, then do them like this, R, S, V, and say 2y minus 1, and then this one's a right angle, and then that's 78. Then your second triangle is going to be T, V, and S. Let's see here. This is X, 24.5. This one's 24. Then you can go ahead and do it that way too, to be able to find those. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to take the time and find what our X and our Y equals in this example and come with those for our next class. All right, triangle third angle theorem. Okay, if two angles of one triangle are congruent to two angles of a second triangle, then the third angles of the triangle are congruent. So if you know that 2 out of the 3 angles are congruent, the third ones have to be congruent, and here's why. We know that angles in a triangle all add up to 180, so if we have 2 angles that are 45 and 2 angles that are 75, the third angle is going to have to be congruent. So we can say if angle B is congruent to angle J, as visible in this picture, and remember it has to be 2 angles, angle C is congruent to angle K, then we know angle A is congruent to angle L. So I'm going to just let you guys try 4 and, that should say 5. 4 and 5 on your own for our next class, just based off knowing that triangles add up to 180 and see what you guys can come up with. Don't forget to go on and take your Schoology quiz, and we'll see you guys later.